A new international study finds that the US media is absolutely imploding. In this video, we're going to take a look at a massive survey that places the US media dead last in terms of international trustworthiness. We're going to look at precisely how the mainstream media attempts to deceive audiences and why more and more people are no longer buying it, guaranteeing that the days of the mainstream media are indeed finally over. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. We are your daily fake news antidote, as each and every day we provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's BioTrust and their awesome immune system supporting product, Ageless Body. Ageless Body combines 5 of the world's best immune supporting powerhouses to boost your immune system like nothing else. And best of all, if you click on that link below today, you're going to get Ageless Body at their lowest price ever, 51% off with free US shipping to boot. So do not wait. Click on that link or go to agewithsteveturley.com today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We have an astonishing finding coming out of a major international study that is absolutely devastating for the mainstream Marxist media. A recent report from the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism in Oxford found that the US media is, in point of fact, the single least trusted media in the entire world. You heard that right. Out of 46 countries surveyed, the US media came in dead last. The study was conducted between a 2-month period and involved nearly 100,000 respondents to measure the level of trust in their respective news media. Actually, Finland topped the list with a trust level about 65%. The trust level for the international media as a whole has actually been improving in virtually all the nations surveyed, which is good news for us on this channel because we often defer to international media to report on events that our mainstream Marxist media has intentionally and deliberately blacked out, and we'll find out why in a moment. So in the international scene, trust in the media is up. Unfortunately for the leftist activists disguised as journalists in the US media, public opinion is going the opposite direction. Astonishingly, only 29% of respondents said that they believe they could trust most news most of the time. 29%. It's an absolutely devastating find. In fact, it explains precisely why the ratings for the mainstream media across the board are utterly collapsing. You'll definitely want to check out a video I did on the imploding ratings over at CNN. I mean, gang, this is the definition of hemorrhaging viewers. There are some shows on CNN that have actually lost 80% of their audience in just the last few months. Or if you're Joe Biden, the last 15 months. Another video you'll definitely want to check out is one I did on print media disappearing. And I show you a shocking, and I'm talking an absolutely shocking list of the number of so-called news outlets that have had to close their doors permanently in the last year. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. But the reality is very simple. Journalism is predicated on trust, okay? Journalism is predicated on trust. The only way a journalistic enterprise succeeds is if its audience believes that the journalists are accurate and reliable mediators of information. The moment that belief is challenged for the majority of the audience, that journalistic enterprise, whatever it happens to be, will collapse. Trust is foundational to a journalistic business model. When only 29% of the public trust the accuracy of the information mediated to them by these journalistic enterprises, I mean, you can bet your mortgage that they're going to start to implode. The journalist and pundit Glen Greenwood said it best. He tweeted out, quote, "This is an extraordinary, though unsurprising finding, given this Oxford study. Most amazing is that the corporate sector of the US media is failing in every respect, financially, culturally, collapsing trust. Any other industry failing like this would engage in self-critique, asking why, but they never do." And we need to ponder that a bit. Why is it that any other industry failing, like the mainstream media has been failing, why would they engage in self-critique and reflection on how to stop the bleeding, but the mainstream media never does? Why is that? Well, I think by answering that, we're going to find precisely how the media attempts to deceive its audiences. So stick with me to the very end of the video. You're going to love it. What Greenwood seems to overlook here is that the media is emphatically not any other industry. In other words, any other industry is part of the liberal globalist world order. What we have to understand is the mainstream media is that liberal globalist world order. The media functions as the telecommunicative glue that holds the liberal globalist order together. Globalism or globalization is a vast interlocking mechanism of technology and telecommunications that in effect creates a single worldwide political and economic system. And the telecommunicative component here is the mainstream media, as well as Hollywood and film and entertainment, music, streaming, and the like. The media provides what the scholar Benedict Anderson calls the imagined community that holds the liberal globalist order together. And the mainstream media does that primarily through the twin processes of framing and priming. Okay, you're going to love this. Follow me. Framing and priming. Framing involves the process of both selecting events and then assembling a narrative that interprets those events as newsworthy. So framing involves fact gathering, and once facts are in place, the media then fabricates a narrative that interprets and explains those events in order to prime their audience. Priming involves the way those frames influence the way we act and we think in accordance with this media-driven narrative. So framing and priming are the two ways the media holds together and protects the liberal globalist order. But once we understand the fact that the media operates by framing and priming, we then can expose what's really going on here, precisely why their trust factor is imploding. But first, in celebration of Independence Day coming up, our awesome merch store has some super savings for you. Just this week, buy 2 of our amazing Patriot t-shirts and you get a third one absolutely free. So this is a perfect opportunity to get yourself and your loved ones and friends some of the coolest, most patriotic shirts available simply by clicking on the link below. But this is a limited time offer. The sale ends on midnight after July 4th, so don't wait. Click on that link below and take advantage of our buy 2, get 1 free offer today. All right, so once we understand what framing and priming are all about, we can then get a clear understanding of precisely how the mainstream media tries to manipulate its audience. Note, framing involves what? It involves 2 things. It involves selecting events that are newsworthy and then interpreting those events in light of a narrative so that they make sense. But here's the key. What if the narrative has already been predetermined? What if the narrative is woke, politically correct narrative? What if that narrative is absolute and unquestionable and inviolable as far as media operatives are concerned? Then is it not the case that the events that they choose to cover are going to be screened in accordance with that narrative? See, this is the story of the mainstream media. It's technically known as confirmation bias, when one focuses on only that information or that data that supports one's prior beliefs and values. The mainstream media deliberately ignores, they black out, they suppress facts that don't conform to their woke narrative, because such facts are a threat to the liberal globalist world order. That's why even the liberal commentator turned media critic, Andrew Sullivan, that's why he argues that the mainstream media pushes narrative, not news. That's the key to understanding what's going on here. The mainstream media pushes narrative, they don't push news. Whatever events they focus on, whatever, quote, facts they put forward, always must comport with the politically correct woke narrative they consider so absolute and unquestionable. So the mainstream media actually believes that they're protecting themselves and the liberal globalist order that they love and that they hold together by ignoring and dismissing facts that don't fit their narrative. You know, like Hunter Biden, or the origins of the coronavirus, or the Patriot uprising going on all over the world as we speak. All of these things are offensive to their politically correct woke narrative and are thus dismissed. But as we're seeing with these surveys, like this one coming out of Oxford, the whole charade is backfiring big time. One of my favorite examples of this, you're going to love this. One of my favorite examples of this backfire comes actually out of Russia. Now, our mainstream media is absolutely fixated on the liberal Russian dissident Alexei Navalny. who was supposedly poisoned, has since been sentenced to prison for 3.5 years for violation of probation. The mainstream media here in the United States has been doing everything they can to push this guy as the leftist liberal hope for Russia. Just one problem. Russians aren't buying it. Most Russians don't believe he was poisoned, and they don't support him or his movement. And according to the Russian studies professor Paul Robinson, do you know why that is? You want to take a guess why most Russians don't buy the whole Navalny-Sogner movement? Because the American media wants them to. The Russian public rejects Navalny precisely because our mainstream Marxist media supports him. And whatever our media supports, the Russian public largely rejects. So we can see here that the mainstream media really is imploding. Not only have they come in dead last among 46 nations in terms of trust, but their influence over public opinion is waning as well. The days of the mainstream media are over, and thank God for that. Now, before you go, you definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how critical race theory is destroying the Democrats. It's going to make your day. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.